wife kicked me out, saying, "The house is in my name, you have no rights." She forgot the house was the grand prize in a contest I won, and the prize rules stated it was non-transferable and reverts to the winner if the couple divorces within 5 years. I called the contest organizers the next day. My wife, Brenda, ended our marriage on Monday night. She did it with the cold, efficient precision of a demolition expert setting charges to bring down an old building. The building was our life together. I was just collateral damage. "I'm not happy, Greg," she said, standing in the middle of our beautiful open-plan living room. "I haven't been happy for a long time. I want a divorce." I was stunned, but I kept my composure. "Okay," I said quietly. "We can talk about that. We can go to counseling." She cut me off with a sharp, dismissive laugh. "No, I'm done talking. I've already spoken to a lawyer. The papers are being drawn up. I'm just giving you the courtesy of a heads up." Then she delivered the killing blow. "I'll be keeping the house, of course," she said, her voice dripping with finality, "and everything in it. You need to pack a bag and be out by the end of the week. Find somewhere else to go." I just stared at her, my mind struggling to catch up. "The house? Brenda, we built this life together. Don't be naive," she sneered, her expression turning ugly. "We both know how this works. The house is in my name. The deed, the title, all of it. Legally, it's my property. You have no rights here. You're a guest whose stay has just been terminated." And in that moment, as she stood there smug and triumphant, basking in the glory of her perceived victory, I felt a strange sense of calm. It was the quiet, focused calm of a man who holds a winning hand, but knows it's not yet the right time to play it. She was right about one thing. The house was technically in her name, and that was the foundation of her entire plan. But she had forgotten one small, crucial detail about that foundation. A detail buried in a thick stack of paperwork in a fireproof safe in my home office. 4 years ago, I was a nobody. I was a freelance writer, barely scraping by. But I had a passion for sustainable design and architecture. A major national corporation, Viridian Homes, launched a massive Home of the Future contest. The grand prize was a brand new, fully furnished, state-of-the-art sustainable home worth over $1 million. To enter, you had to submit a 5,000-word essay on what home meant to you in the 21st century. I poured my heart and soul into that essay. I wrote for weeks, researching, drafting, and refining. Brenda was supportive back then, in the way one supports a child's lemonade stand. She thought it was a cute, hopeless little project. 6 months later, against all odds, I won. My essay was chosen out of tens of thousands of entries. It was the single greatest moment of my life. We were flown out for a televised ceremony. There were cameras, speeches, a giant novelty tea. We were given our dream home. When it came time to handle the legal transfer of the property, we sat down with a team of lawyers from Viridian Homes. There was a mountain of paperwork. The prize came with a complex set of rules and tax implications. At the time, I had some old, minor business debts from a failed freelance venture years prior. A lawyer, one Brenda's father had recommended, advised us that it would be cleaner and would protect the asset from any potential creditors if the deed was put solely in Brenda's name. He said it was a standard liability strategy. I was so overwhelmed with the joy of winning, so trusting of my wife, that I agreed without a second thought. It seemed like a smart, practical move. Brenda became the sole legal owner of the house I had won. But I'm a meticulous person. I read every single line of every document I sign, and I remembered a specific clause in the official prize contract. A clause I'm certain Brenda either never read or completely forgot about. The clause was titled, Prize Integrity and Non-Transferability. It stated that the grand prize home was intended to support a family, and as such, it could not be sold or transferred for a period of 5 years. It also contained a reversion clause. If the winning couple divorced or legally separated within that 5-year period, the ownership of the house would not be considered a divisible marital asset. Instead, full ownership and title would legally revert to the original, officially declared contest winner. The winner was me. We have been living in the house for 4 years and 8 months. We are 4 months shy of the 5-year deadline. Brenda stood there in the living room waiting for me to break, to plead, to fight. She wanted a scene. I gave her nothing. I just looked at her, my face a mask of quiet defeat. "You're right. I said, my voice sounding hollow even to my own ears. It's your house. I'll be gone by Friday. The look of triumphant relief on her face was something I will never forget. She had won. It was that easy. I spent the next day packing a few bags, a silent, broken man in her eyes. She watched me, her expression a mixture of pity and impatience. She thought I was packing up my life. She had no idea I was just clearing the board for the game that was about to begin. This morning, after dropping my bags at a friend's house, I went to a quiet coffee shop. I took out my phone. I didn't call a divorce lawyer. Not yet. I called the legal department at Viridian Homes. I asked to speak to the head of their prize and promotions division. Hello, I said, when she came on the line. My name is Greg Peterson. I was the winner of your Home of the Future contest 4 years ago. I'm calling because I believe there has been a potential breach of the prize contract. I need to talk to someone about invoking the reversion clause. Update 1. The phone call to Viridian Homes was like dropping a match into a room full of gasoline. The woman in the prize division was polite but confused at first. But the moment I mentioned the words reversion clause and divorce, she transferred me directly to their senior corporate counsel, a man named Mr. Davies. Davies was not polite. He was a legal scalpel. He was sharp, precise, and intensely interested. I explained the situation. My wife, the sole name on the deed, was divorcing me and claiming the house as her sole property, all within the 5-year window stipulated in the contract. Mr. Peterson, Davies said after a long pause, the integrity of our grand prize contests is of paramount importance to our brand. We invest millions in these promotions. The clauses you're referring to are in place specifically to prevent this exact scenario, what we call prize fraud. We cannot have our Home of the Future winner's family be torn apart and the prize immediately liquidated or transferred in a divorce. It's a public relations nightmare. He asked me to email him a copy of my original winner's contract, which I did immediately from my laptop. He confirmed he had it and told me his team would be reviewing it. Do not engage with your wife or any lawyer she hires, he advised. Let us make the first move. You are the official winner. We will protect our interests and, by extension, yours. I felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I wasn't alone in this fight anymore. I had the full legal might of a multi-billion-dollar corporation on my side. True to her word, I was served with divorce papers last Friday. They were delivered to my friend's house. The papers were exactly as arrogant and predatory as I expected. They listed the house as Brenda's sole and separate property. They demanded I sign a quitclaim deed, formally relinquishing any possible claim I might have. They also demanded significant spousal support, citing the lifestyle to which she had become accustomed while living in the prize home. I didn't even read the whole thing. I just scanned it, laughed, and forwarded a PDF copy to Mr. Davies at Viridian Homes. The response was not long in coming. Yesterday, a courier arrived at my former home. He delivered a thick, intimidating legal envelope addressed to Brenda Miller. I know this because my old next-door neighbor, a friendly guy named Dave, texted me a picture of it sitting on the porch. Looks like someone's not happy with your wife, his text read. Later that evening, my phone rang. It was Brenda. She wasn't screaming. She was crying, a sound of pure, panicked disbelief. What did you do, Greg? She sobbed. I just got a letter from Viridian Homes, from their lawyers. They're saying the house isn't mine. They're talking about a reversion clause. What is that? I kept my voice calm and neutral. It's in the prize contract, Brenda, I said. The one we both signed. It says that if we divorce within 5 years, ownership of the house reverts to me, the contest winner. It's not a marital asset. It's a conditional prize, and you just broke the condition. No, that can't be right, she cried. My lawyer said the deed is all that matters. He said the house is mine. Then your lawyer didn't do his due diligence, I replied. He didn't read the prize contract that established the title in the first place. Viridian Homes' legal team seems to disagree with his assessment, and frankly, I think their lawyers are probably a little better than the guy you hired. She started to get hysterical. This is your fault. You're trying to ruin me. You're trying to make me homeless. No, Brenda, I said, my voice turning cold. I'm not doing anything. I'm just following the rules of a contest that I won. You're the one who decided to end our marriage 4 months before the prize became unconditional. You were so eager to get rid of me that you couldn't wait just a little bit longer. Your greed and your impatience are what's ruining you. You should have read the fine print." I hung up the phone. Her entire plan, her entire future was built on the assumption that she owned that house. She was now discovering that she was just a tenant on a lease that was about to expire. The foundation of her new life had just turned to dust. Update 2. The past month has been a brutal educational experience for Brenda. She discovered the vast difference between a small-town divorce lawyer and the legal department of a Fortune 500 company. It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, only the other guy has a fleet of predator drones. Brenda's lawyer, a man who clearly thought this was a simple, open and shut divorce, was completely out of his depth. He sent a blustering letter back to Viridian Homes, arguing that the reversion clause was unconscionable and unenforceable against a legal deed holder. The response from Viridian's legal team was, I'm told, a thing of beauty. They didn't just reply, they buried him. They sent back a 50-page legal brief that cited dozens of precedents related to contract law, conditional prizes, and corporate promotions. They made it clear that the prize was not a gift. It was a contractually obligated award subject to the terms agreed upon by the winner. My signature on that contract was the primary legal event. The deed in Brenda's name was a secondary conditional transfer, entirely subject to the rules of the primary contract. They concluded the letter by stating that if Brenda did not immediately withdraw her claim to the house as a marital asset, Viridian Homes would not only intervene in the divorce proceedings on my behalf, but they would also consider filing a separate civil suit against her for attempted fraudulent conversion of a corporate asset. Brenda's lawyer folded immediately. He called my lawyer, I had to hire one eventually, just to handle the divorce paperwork, and told him that they were officially withdrawing any and all claims to the house. Defeated on the legal front, Brenda resorted to a campaign of emotional warfare. She tried to turn our friends and family against me. She told everyone a sob story about how her cruel, vindictive husband was using a legal loophole to steal her home and leave her with nothing. It didn't work. The problem for Brenda is that everyone knew I won that house. Our friends had been there when I was writing the essay. They had celebrated with me when I won. They knew the house was the product of my work, my passion. Her attempt to claim it as her own just made her look greedy and entitled. The final, desperate act was the affair. I had suspected it for months, but I had no proof. It turned out I didn't need to find it. It came to me. I had to go back to the house last week with a neutral third-party escort to retrieve the rest of my personal belongings. Brenda was there, her face a mask of sullen resentment. As I was packing up my office, I found a shoebox tucked away in the back of the closet. It was full of greeting cards and old photos, and at the bottom was a small stack of printed emails. They were from a man named Julian. They were graphic, explicit, and left no doubt about the nature of their relationship. They had been having an affair for over a year. The emails detailed their plans for the future, their trips together, and their shared contempt for me. One email, dated 2 weeks before she asked for the divorce, was particularly damning. Julian wrote, "Once you get the house free and clear from that dead weight, we can finally start our real life together. I can't wait to be in our home." Our home. They had been planning this all along. The divorce wasn't just about her leaving me. It was about her replacing me, using my prize as the foundation for her new relationship. I didn't confront her. I didn't yell. I just quietly put the printed emails into my briefcase. They were irrelevant to the ownership of the house. That battle was already won. But they were about to become very, very relevant to the final divorce settlement regarding spousal support and the division of our other smaller assets. She thought she was just losing the house. She had no idea I was now holding the evidence that would ensure she lost everything else too. Final update. It has been 6 months since my old life was demolished. Today, the dust has settled, and I am standing in the wreckage, holding the deed to my future. The divorce was finalized last week, and the conclusion was as brutal and absolute as I could have hoped for. The emails I found were the final nail in Brenda's coffin. When my lawyer presented them during the settlement negotiations, her case for spousal support and an equal division of our other assets completely evaporated. The judge, seeing clear evidence of adultery and a conspiracy to defraud me, was not sympathetic to her cause. The final divorce decree was a masterpiece of karmic justice. Brenda was awarded no spousal support. She was forced to pay back the money she had spent from our joint savings on her affair, and she had to pay for her own, now substantial, legal fees. She walked away from our 8-year marriage with nothing but her clothes, her car, and a mountain of debt. The house, as per the Viridian Homes contract, legally reverted to me the moment the divorce decree was signed. The day she had to move out was a quiet, somber affair. I wasn't there. I had my lawyer and a representative from Viridian Homes oversee the process. They ensured she took only her personal belongings and didn't damage the property. According to my lawyer, she was a ghost. All the fight had gone out of her. She just silently packed her bags and left. Her lover, Julian, was nowhere to be seen. Once the dream of $1 million mortgage-free house vanished, so did he. He was attracted to the prize, not the person. Brenda's grand plan to upgrade her life ended with her losing her husband, her home, her savings, and her boyfriend. She is now reportedly living in a small rented apartment across town, trying to rebuild a life from the ashes of her own greed. As for me, I am home. I spent the last month reclaiming the space. I repainted the walls. I bought new furniture. I got rid of every trace of her. The house doesn't feel like a prize anymore. It feels like mine, earned not just by an essay, but by surviving a war. The most interesting postscript came from Viridian Homes. A week after the divorce was finalized, I received a package from Mr. Davies, their corporate counsel. Inside was a simple letter. It said, "Mr. Peterson, we were incredibly impressed with your integrity and fortitude throughout this unfortunate ordeal. You have proven to be exactly the kind of person we hoped would win our grand prize. Please accept this small gesture as a token of our esteem." Inside the package was a check for $50,000. The note attached said, "For legal fees and home security upgrades." I stood in the living room of my house, the house I had won, the house I had almost lost, and I laughed. Brenda had tried to take everything from me. She had sneered that I had no rights. But she forgot that I was the one who wrote the story that won the prize. And in the end, I was the one who got to write the ending. And it's a damn good one.